lead pastor, Pastor Billy G. Russell, who will have remarks to say as well. But just like I read in the opening scripture, if you look around, I see unity, I see love, I see a group of leaders, spiritual leaders, that want to stand for good, stand for God, stand for all those things that we preach about and sing about and we talk about each and every day. If there's ever been a time that there's time to come together, the time is right now. Has there ever been a time to put down what color your skin is, what background you come from, or regardless of those things that break us down and break us apart, now is the time to put all that aside and fight for good and fight for God and stay in the fight together, because as one voice, we can make a difference. We can bring a change. We can bring calm to our city, speaking in one voice. So thank you all for being here today. And this is a fight that's just beginning. So don't think this is just a photo op or anything like that. This is the beginning of us coming together like we've never had before. So we all, and it might get dangerous. I'm gonna just tell you that. So we're just gonna be real with it from the door. All right? But this is something that we've been called to do at this time, at this moment, in this place. So with that being said, I'm gonna hand it over to Pastor McAfee so he can give us an update as to what's going on the ground and give us some instruction as well.
Thank you, Doc. First off, you ought to clap your hands because we got a great victory the other day. When I say a great victory, because for the first time in 30-some years in doing this work, police officers were fired within 10 to 12 hours. That has never, ever happened in the history from Tyrell Nelson, Terrence Franklin, all the way down. The second thing that we know is that then they need to be charged, and I'm about 99.9% sure that they will be charged. Now, conviction is a whole nother thing that we can deal with that later. Listen, what we're trying to do is move in several different steps. Number one, we want to change the narrative to I can't breathe to we can't breathe. Because when all of us saw that, all of us should have been choked out just about till we died ourselves. And so we want to rephrase that from I can't to I can to we can't breathe collectively. Right now on Minnehaha and Lake Street, as well as down on 38th and Chicago. 38th and Chicago, we got that on lockdown. And I'll just be real with y'all. Reggie and them and the Bloods got that on lockdown down there. So they pretty solid. Over on Minnehaha and Lake Street, there's about 25 people there already. We're moving in 4 different modes. Number one, our first goal is to sweep the city. By that I mean we got garbage bags, we got gloves, we got brooms, where we're going to help clean up our own streets, help clean up our own parking lots, because the narrative cannot go to something that's negative. And so when they see us collectively sweeping up our own neighborhood, it gives a different message. One beautiful part about it, a white brother is down there already with water in his tent, calling it a prayer tent, and they're picking things up already. So we're going to join in that. The second move is to secure. Everybody say secure. Where we put a force together who is in between the police and our community. We got about 15, 20 guys that's in between the police and the community, because we understand the danger that if we let some of them, and they ain't all youngsters, y'all, if we let some of them people continue to antagonize the police the way that they do, if somebody get a hair trigger, we got a big problem. And then we need to keep again separated from each other. I just got through talking to Sharif. Brian, we got them moved all the way down to the sidewalk now. So we got that gap that we need. Our goal is to try to have that. Hopefully it won't be necessary 24/7. Now, we've talked with many of you, Dr. Russell, as well as Bishop Howell. They've been in contact with the governor's office, and they're talking about sending in the National Guard. Our desire, Dietrich, is if we can put together and mobilize close to 100 strong brothers that can help us with this thing, because y'all, we don't want that kind of drama. You don't have to tell me it's dangerous. I already know. Brian was out there yesterday, so we know how dangerous it can be. But the question becomes, do we be so comfortable and don't do nothing, and this thing blows up even more? And so I think before any one of those questions is answered, that as a collective body, y'all need to make the decision on whether or not y'all want that to happen. So we're mobilizing. When I say we, again, we got conservatives out there, we got unknowns out there, we got GDs out there, we got BDs out there. Yeah, you know the brothers who they always talk about causing all the problems. Well, those are some of the ones that's out there trying to help it right now. So we got one, sweet. Two, we got safety and secure. The third thing is, y'all, when they swept through those areas, they messed up some of the own grocery stores. So we're doing an assessment now on how much food is needed around there. So we got grills and stuff coming out there to cook them food, but we also got non-perishable goods to start passing out to people, because some of them more than likely in those areas don't have the wherewithal, Dr. Coleman, to get to another grocery store away. So we're trying to find all of those things out so we can make that particular move. The last thing after the serve is what we call secure, where we analyze the cause, the condition, and the cure. Most of us know what's been going on in this community for 25, 35, 40 years, however long you've been here, as it pertains to people of color. We've got to change the narrative. Anybody in their right mind who did not and could not see this coming, you've had your head in a hole for a long time. And so as we're making these collective moves, y'all, I just talked with Carmen Means down on that end over there. So we got people mobilizing. So what we need from, the other thing is that we're asking you all to do, and I'm trying to get it in a more simplified wording. Brian, you might be able to help me with this. One of the things we've been saying for years is that the Minneapolis Police Department need to be put in receivership. Not because I'm against Rondo, but because their behavior has been so egregious for 25, 30, 45 years. And one of the reasons it's so egregious like that is the union is so strong. The union is so strong. So Rondo and them can be with us, but we got to get to a point that where we can break the back of that union. And so we've got to get it put, Curtis or any of y'all who got great minds, and that's, I'm sure all y'all do, read over that stuff, get it back, and then try to get it in simplified terms. Because those of you who remember, there is something that the city of Minneapolis walked away from about 10, 15 years ago, was the federal mediation agreement. Did y'all hear me? Over 130 things were laid out, and the city only achieved 20 of them before Mayor Ryback at the time canceled the whole thing out. We do not have to reinvent the wheel as it returns to police misconduct. The groundwork is already there. So those are the things that we're asking for right now. For stuff from us, sweep it up, secure it up, serve it up, and save it up, things that we can do, and then collectively move with an agenda that many of you guys already have. You're already working on some things that can help this plight when it comes to the poverty and the deprivation of poor people. All right? Yeah, was that a hand, a finger? Oh, okay. All right, bless y'all.
So Pastor McAfee, okay. One thing is that we have to realize is that we're in this together. And we have to be focused on what, in addition to what you mentioned in terms of right now, what's the long term? So it's 3 or 4 demands that we all work in different areas. That if we all focus on these 3 or 4 things, we can move more powerfully. So can you talk about what those demands are that the family is making, the community is making?
Thank you. Again, the first demand that we had, we got. We demanded that those police officers be fired, and they were. The second demand that we have is that they get charged. And so I am, again, 99.9% sure that they're going to be charged. I kind of waffled a bit on conviction, because if you don't know, the Supreme Court for the 4th time have basically suggested that the threshold for deadly force is the police officer just has to feel threatened. I don't think I heard you. Holler back at your boy if you please. They just have to feel threatened. And the Supreme Court has upheld that. And here's the importance during this election time. Many times our people don't know the importance of it on who that president is who appoints the Supreme Court justices. And the Supreme Court justices are there longer than the president. And so we got to make sure that we're moving towards that. Now, here's the other thing that we can do, and I didn't want to do it right now, but just to tell you, in order to circumvent that process, because y'all know that'll be a long fight. But what we can do, we can ask the city officials to establish that every Minneapolis police officer have their own liability insurance. And that if they have their own liability insurance, that is just like car insurance, that if you continue to violate it and stuff get wrong with you and they cancel your insurance, then you need to have insurance to work in Minneapolis, then your employment is terminated. Y'all hear me? So we got to find other ways and avenues, because I'm telling you, I'm just kicking it with y'all on the real, trying to overturn the Supreme Court, then withheld it 4 times. 4 times. That use of force, I'm not going to say none, but it's going to be real hard. So we got to find other ways of doing that.
We also need to push to cancel mandatory arbitration in these 2 nations. So every time they get disciplined, the arbitrator reverses the discipline. So this part of the contract has to be deleted at the next employment contract.
And that's why we want to get them placed in receivership, because we believe if we can get them placed in receivership, then that gives us, or the city, the ability to negotiate what you're talking about right now. See, certain things that's happening right now, by law, the city got to abide by it, by their own laws. And so we got to get some of them things changed. And that's why we're talking about getting them placed into receivership. See a hand? Mm-hmm.
So any demands, per se, anything that people desire to change for our community, the union is what upholds those things. Mm-hmm. So that's the main focus. As we get all these things surrounded around us, they get charged, they're getting charged. Once that happens, they go out to their pockets. Their pockets are the union. It's just like any local 552, 567, whatever you want to call it. Same way. You all together with this? Easiest way to get it done. It's just gonna be a long fight.
Yeah. All right. See y'all directly. All right.
Good afternoon, everyone. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Curtis DeYoung, the CEO of the Minnesota Council of Churches, and we're grateful that you're here. Many of our board members and constituency are here. The president of our board is Reverend Billy Russell. The vice president of our board is Elder Stacy Smith. And we are practicing in our work how to follow black leadership, because it's a season and a time where we're going to need to follow black leadership and trust black leadership and be behind black leadership and saying the same 4 things that black leadership is saying. So from the Minnesota Council of Churches, I welcome you, appreciate you being here, and we make that kind of a commitment. Just as an aside, there are several people now around the country who have been through similar crisis in their own communities, either showing up or calling to see how we're doing. So people are watching Minneapolis with great concern and great care and great love. So we have a support base. There was 4 things that we asked for the Council of Churches, which was presence. We're showing that today. We're present with each other, but particularly knowing that African Americans, black folks, are feeling this in ways that some of us are feeling it much deeper than some of us who are also feeling it. We asked for protest. Protest is happening. We asked for prayers. But echo what Rev just said, we've got to have prosecution. And so that's where we're going to put a lot of our efforts, calling for prosecution. I want to invite my vice president, Elder Stacy Smith of the AME Church, to share some remarks next.
Thank you, Curtis, and thank you all for being here today. And one of the things, I really looked around the room and I saw the show of support for what is happening here in our Twin Cities, here in Minneapolis. It is truly disheartening what is happening. It is yet again happening. Aren't we tired of this happening? I know I am, and therefore I'm standing in solidarity with my brothers and sisters. I'm standing in solidarity with the community. I'm standing in solidarity with our mayor, Mayor Fry. I'm standing in solidarity with Chief Arando. It's important that we do these things. I'm so full of emotion right now, and I'm sure all of you are too. And it's Reverend Mack, he articulated it well of all the things that is happening on the ground, but I don't know how we all are feeling right now. I know I'm all over the board. My emotions are all over the board. But I know that when we feel this way, we as people of faith, we of people who believe in God, we know where our help comes from. Amen. I look unto the hills because my help cometh from the Lord. Amen. So at this time, only thing that we can do, the only thing that we can is come together, shoulder to shoulder, work together, be a blessing to one another. And what I mean by that, excuse me, and that is all communities of faith working together, because this is not just the Black church problem. This is not just a problem that happens in our brothers of our Muslim communities. This is not just something that happens there. This is something that is happening to all of us. If it happens to one of us, it's happening to all of us. So I wanted to say thank you for being here and showing your support, because it grows deeper than what just happened the other day. This is a systemic problem that must be addressed. And it must not be just one day, 1 week after the convictions. This is something that we have to work on from this day forward. Amen? This is not something that is going to happen, once we have a few others come in and join us, that it's going to go away. This is something that we are all going to have to work together collectively, coming together, shoulder to shoulder, bega qua bega, working. And I expect to see you all on the battleground with us as the days go forward. There'll be more things that we can come together on. We're working on some things now, but I'm excited for the fact that there is hope staring right back at me. Amen. God bless you all.
Thank you very, very much. Certainly, this has been a day. A day not just began today, but a day since injustice has been birthed. That has paralyzed our community. We continue to look at history rewritten over and over again. And we thought these days were behind us. We thought that the signing of the 1960-some legislation would finally bring freedom and justice for all. It is now 2020, many years later, 50-some years later, and we are still in the same spot. Someone said, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. I'm not just sick and tired now. I'm angry. I want to do something. But what I want to do is what we all want to do. And I believe we find that word beautifully in the book of Amos, where the word says, let justice run down as waters and righteousness as a mighty stream. It's time now for us to stop taking the abuse, the disliberties, the injustices that have been continuing to plague, especially our African American community, especially our African American men. There was violence. There was a violence that took place, and it took place on Monday night when a cop put his leg on the neck of a black man. That's when violence began. We want to blame what happened last night. Yes, we don't justify what happened last night, but what do you expect when injustice continues to breed more injustice? The young people were not there when we were around in the 1960s. They were not there, but they heard about it. And they thought by now that something good has been done since the day they came into this earth. When they woke up and what they saw the other night, they said, look, we're tired of y'all praying. We're tired of y'all telling us peace, peace, justice, no peace. We're tired of that now. We want to see something with a different scene, a different song, a different dance, that we will not have to witness what we've seen this week. My brothers and sisters in Christ, we have arrived at the right time. And even though our hearts are heavy, and even though we're feeling the distress, but there's still hope. There is a balm in Gilead, and there is a physician there. And we are expecting something marvelous that's going to take place in our community beginning today. Because you and I are on the same page right now in the house of God. Believe me, we are putting aside our differences of colors. We're putting aside our differences of denominations, our theology, whatever we believe. Let's come on, folks. The sons of Issachar understood the times, and they did something about that. This is not the time of David, the time of Solomon, the time of Moses. This is our time in 2020 to do something about it and change the seasons and the times. We shall overcome. We shall overcome. Deep down in my heart, I do believe we shall overcome. Not someday, we're going to overcome today. We're making a charge. We thank the Lord for our mayor and for our chief of police for charging these 4 men and fired them. I mean, fired them. When was the last time you ever heard action taken like that in a matter of less than 48 hours? But now we have another step. We want our Mike Freeman to charge these people with murder and arrest all of them and put them in jail and wait their turn to be tried in court. This is the right thing to do, and we are going to get it done. Tonight we're going to be on the streets. Many of us are going to be on the streets. We're going to ask God for peace. We're going to mingle with the young people. Many ministers are taking their time because this is our time, folks. It's our time to bring light back into the world. It's our time to bring salt to the earth. It's our time to raise up the banner of justice. It's our time to show love and peace. It's our time to show brotherhood and unity. It's our time. This is our time to pray. It's our time to worship. It's our time to give God the glory. It's our time has come. If my people, which are called by my name, shall humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then I, the Lord, will hear from heaven. I will forgive their sin, and I will heal the land. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I feel the healing in the land today. I feel the blood of Jesus going up and down these streets. I feel the righteousness is going to be done because God said this is the time to make it come to pass. May God bless each and every one of you. Thank you, Pastor Russell. This is our season, and I'm going to ask all of you to continue to be strong together, be neighbors together, pray together. Don't shake anybody's hand, but give each brother the bump, whatever it takes. But we are definitely showing a show of unity, of community. Thank you. May God bless each and every one of you.
My name is Jeff Hayden, and I'm the state senator in Senate District 62. And I just want to say, well, yeah, you can applaud it for that. I want to say thank you to Pastor Russell and all the clergy that are here that I know, and I appreciate you and feel your prayers each and every day. It has been a tough few months here in this country, in this world, and it has been a tough few months here in Minneapolis and at the Capitol as we deal with this issue that they call the coronavirus or COVID-19. And so I thought as we started to work, and I work very closely with the governor and the Department of Health, I serve on all the healthcare committees, and as we started to look at what we thought was the surge in cases and went to bed feeling about that, I woke up just the other day and realized that we were really in a surge, and that we thought about the way that the coronavirus goes after people with compromised immune systems and comorbidities and those of us that are in the dawn of life, but then in particular those of us in the African American community that because of structural issues, racism and lack of education and lack of the ability to have representation at the Capitol, that has caused us to be susceptible to this. And then I looked up and understood that we had another virus that we had thought that we had gotten rid of, that we thought that we had fixed, and that is this issue of the police shooting or putting their boot on black people, in particular black men. And I don't know why I thought, even though it was in front of me each and every day, that somehow we had turned the corner on that, because I thought in the context of the coronavirus, we were starting to hit the surge and we're going to be on the bell curve of that. But at 53 years old, on 35th and Clinton, when I was 5 years old and my mother taught me how to cross the street, the next thing she told me, said, if the police stop you, do whatever they say. That's 48 years ago. That's a long bell curve, Pastor, for us to still be dealing with these issues, to still be fighting this issue of racial injustice. You know, we just left Reverend Sharpton, and he said they wanted to know how he was going to deal with the issue, or what would he say about those that were violent last night. And he said, well, he came here to deal with the police because they were the ones that were the violent ones. That's what he came here to do. So I started to think about that, and I think about this great church and all of the faith leaders here, and I talked to the governor today, and he is vacillating, trying to figure out what the best way is to keep the peace. He's got local and state law enforcement, and the local law enforcement has failed us, so he's trying to figure out how to deal with that. So he's contemplating bringing in the National Guard. So he wanted my advice, and I told the governor, well, for every $1 you spend on the National Guard, you should spend 3 in the community. You should not only on the policy, but you should employ, right? You should resource the community, because that's the problem. We have an under-resourced, upper-represented community that now is thinking about this. They got half the education, they got half the health care, they got half the economic means, and then all of a sudden, the people who's supposed to be protecting them literally put the boot on their neck and killed them. So we want to send more law enforcement in to control that. Well, why don't we start to invest in this community? Why don't we start to say that we're going to spend the money? We got it. Let me tell you something. We got it. I know we're going to go through an economic crisis, but often that's just semantics. They just kind of move money around a little bit. At a whim, we spent $500 million with the B to combat the coronavirus. However, Pastor Russell can tell you that we lobbied hard to get $3 million just to go into faith-based communities Bishop Howell would tell you that. He was on the calls, and just to get the media out to tell our people what the coronavirus was. So I'm still trying to figure that out. I got 500 billion like that, and 3 million we gotta cry, hustle, and take these great faith leaders to implore the governor and implore the legislature to do it. We got a bonding bill we're looking at for $1 billion. The governor carved out 30 million, but it wasn't in the bill. They said they didn't know quite how to do it. I keep trying to figure out, Pastor, why when it comes to us, why when it comes to people of color, why when it comes to black people, that there's always a problem, there's always a step, there's always something that they can't do. Brother Flowers will tell you he's been on the streets on his own dime, him and Reverend McAfee, way before what happened yesterday, trying to deal with this issue of safe streets, trying to say that we need police accountability, but we also need to let our young people know that there's a better way. And we've been fighting like the Dickens for 4 years to get it $2 million. Heck, $50,000 sometimes, Al. So I don't mean to turn this into that kind of conversation, but what I will say, especially to all of you great people and you great faith leaders, we not only need your prayers, we need your force. Yes, we need your presence. Yes, we need your activism. We need your advocacy. We need not to split each other up. Brother Iman, we need not to go this way. We need to come together. Right? There's some sinister forces out here who'd like to split us up. There's some forces out here that say that they're the good guys, that they're the ones that are the progressives in the community that often get in the way of us being able to be unified, for us to be able to come together. I'm proud of the work that we are doing in the legislature, but we need more help. We need more hands on deck. Senator Champion and I are fighting. We're not going to say we fought the good fight. That's Timothy. I know I don't get to church enough, Pastor, but I think that's what it is, somewhere along there. We are fighting the good fight. We have a group that is fighting it, but we're going to need your help. We're going to need for you to weigh in with the legislature, with the governor. Now, here's what we want to do. There are a set of bills and a couple of ideas that can structurally change the way in which the police force in Minnesota, specifically the Minneapolis Police Department, can work. I won't go into great detail because it's layered and detailed and hard, but it's where they get trained. It's how they get selected. It's where they live, right? It's when they do something wrong, who gets to prosecute them and how much time. We keep saying over and over again, if I would have choked somebody out and they put it on tape, I'd be in jail right now, and then they'd be putting their case together while I sat in jail. They wouldn't be putting their case together to see if they're even going to arrest me. That's a lack of common sense. So there are legislative things that we can do. But I'm going to tell you this, it's a hard fight, right? There are special interests that don't want that to happen. There are people on this side and the other side of the aisle that think that that's politically risky. But I say to you, and I say to you now, and I can say that Senator Champion was sitting right next to me, and Representative Moran and Representative Richardson, and we're bringing in the whole People of Color caucus. What we're saying is that Governor and Speaker, now they're on my side of the aisle. They're Democrats, right? Because what they'll say is, we would like to do it, but the Republicans control the state Senate, and so therefore, you know how this works. You got to have the Senate, the House, right? I'm just the bill, right? And then the governor signs. I'm only a bill, right? I remember that. Y'all dating yourself. So here's what happened. In 2016, Mr. Flowers could tell you because he was there, some of y'all, we got a historic package of equity money. It wasn't that much money, $70 million, turned to $100 million. We got a $38 billion deficit, but we'll take what we can get. And it was a Republican Speaker of the House by the name of Kurt Dowd. So it was me in the majority with Tom Bach, the Governor Dayton, and we said after that, we looked at the numbers and we said, we are not getting what we can. Everybody has recovered from the recession except for people of color. We said we're going to put this money on the table. I asked the governor, at the time, if you remember, we had a problem with the walleyes up in Mille Lacs, and the resorts were having to close and they needed a bailout. And on the Iron Range, the Chinese had flooded the market with steel, and the steel mills are closing, and they needed a bailout. So I asked the governor, I said, well, we need a bailout. And as we had that conversation, somehow got in the paper, I asked him, did he care more for black folks than walleyes? Right? Did he care more about a fish And we know I'm the land of 10,000 lakes, but he cared more about that than he cared about us. And that got the process rolling. And we were able to pass that with the Republican Speaker of the House, so we can pass comprehensive reform that also speaks to recovery and that also speaks to fundamentally changing the way law enforcement treats us with the Republican majority in the Senate. It just makes a difference if the Speaker, if the minority in the Senate, and if the governor agrees and said we will not sign a bonding bill, we will not spend another dime on anything until these things are done. So that's what I want y'all to do. That's the message that I want to send to every one of you influential people, and I mean every one of them, from the young people who are sitting in the back watching this, young man who was telling us that he doesn't know each and every day when he wakes up at 15 years old, will he live to see the end of the day, when he watches on Facebook someone get killed in front of his very eyes. To every one of you pastors and imams and faith leaders who have direct access to the governor. And the last thing I'll tell you is, don't let them split you. If Billy Russell's not with you or Bishop Howe's not with you when you meet with the governor, you tell them call them and you can't meet until you see one of them. And they'll do the same for you, because that's another thing that they do. So once again, I don't know, maybe I got the fever up here. Maybe they're calling me, Pastor Davis. I feel like I'm preaching up here today, and I think our guest of honor is here. So I just want to say thank you. And the last thing, make sure that we vote in the primary. We have to have the right people at the right tables to get this work done. Thank you so much.
Reverend Jackson is here and coming, and to make his remarks. I know you've seen the movement going on. We didn't expect, we expected for it to be us to be done at this point. And the governor asked for some people to meet with him right now from 2 and 2:30. So that's why you see Pastor Russell moving, and Rem Curtis. They asked that you go in the back to get on the call with the governor and the attorney general. So right now, we got a question about more clarity about tonight, what Bishop Howe mentioned. So Bishop David Johnson is going to come and talk a little bit more about the specifics about what we need from the faith community tonight.
God bless you all, and praise the Lord to everyone that are here today, each and every leader, each and every one that is here able to move, shake, and establish change in our local community. It gives me great privilege and honor to stand before you all to say that this is just the beginning of something that we have been working on for quite some time and not new to all of us that are here today. I echo all that have stated and shared so far. This afternoon, Bishop Howell and Reverend Jerry McAfee and many other faith leaders throughout our community are gathering in the area of South Minneapolis to do our best to diffuse the challenges that we're faced with from last night. They're currently on a call with the governor to discuss his plan. His plan is to try to put the fire out from what has happened, and I mean that both figuratively and naturally and spiritually. The truth of the matter is that fires have been started all over, looting on high level, and we all can see and determine what is happening because of the emotion, the feelings, and the concerns behind our loved one. With that being said, they're looking to gather as many individuals tonight to help diffuse and soften the blow, if you will. You can. All right. All right. All right.
Brothers asked me to come up because we're bringing Jesse up in a minute. Unfortunately for Minneapolis, we have a full-blown riot, full-blown, in St. Paul this very moment, and the north side is going up now. So whatever we do, do it tight, do it quick, and let's move. Jesse will be upstairs in just a few minutes, and we need prayer, y'all. Let our babies make it through this, and they don't mow them down. But it's full-blown now, and it's going to be full-blown in so many cities and so many states because they're tired everywhere. They just tired of dying at the hands of everybody. So we're going to need real prayer today. Thank you for the interruption, brother.
Thank you. As it is echoed already, you can see the severity of what's happening, and we're looking for hands on deck tonight. How do you get involved? You realize that this has, we can call it popcorned or hopped from city to state to location to neighborhood to community, and we need help. The governor is vacillating between, do he call in the National Guard to defuse this and or put this to an end, or do we work with faith leaders to defuse this and bring closure to this in some shape, form, or fashion? We believe that the faith leaders can have a greater impact. Am I by myself today? We believe that the faith leaders can have a greater impact. And with the faith leaders coming together to support even on tonight and currently right now, due to the fact that Spike Moss has shared with us that there are other situations taking place as well. What we want to do is gather tonight at about 5 o'clock. There will be a stage around the precinct on Lake Street in Minnehaha. They're trying to put together a stage and clean up, sweep the grounds, straighten things up, feed the folk over there, and institute hope and help. And tonight, I know we can do that collaboratively. If we can draw together in droves, get together as a team, show our faces in our collective effort, I believe by faith we'll be able to do exactly what we need to do together. So today, as we prepare to hear from our very own Reverend Jesse Jackson as he's coming, we want to make sure that each and every one of you are not only just in this service, but your hands and feet are in service tonight at 5 o'clock. And because of that, we are so appreciative. And as we are patiently waiting for him to take his seat, we would like for each and every one of you all to be mindful that we do have our very own Reverend Jesse Jackson here with us today. Let's clap our hands for him at this time. As we are yet still trying to continue with, the governor is trying to identify, does he make the call to the National Guard or does he use faith leaders? This phone call that is taking place right now is very important, and he's asking, where can the help come from? If we can give them real-time, online conversation to our governor to say, we can handle this, Mr. Governor, we can take care of this, or do we send a National Guard in to create a larger situation that we do not want to have? I ask all that are here, hands up, hands raised, who can be boots on the ground participating tonight, some shape, form, or fashion, or perhaps mobilize with your team, your groups. We need as many folk as possible to be involved tonight, ensuring that we have the ability to diffuse as much as we can. We know what's happening at the precinct at this time. We know what's going on at we've seen it last night, and the reality there is that we are able to get in between the police and the people that are there, the protesters, everyone that's looting. I know it may be dangerous. We're not going over there with collars and things on, but we're rolling our sleeves up and doing our best to diffuse what's going on. And we need your support. I thank you for each and every hand that was raised. I thank you for the support that we have. There will be individuals we're barbecuing tonight, grilling tonight to feed the community. There will be grills brought over there, food brought over there. There will be a stage put up over there, and we will make sure that we work collaboratively as a team. Again, Bishop Howell, Jerry McAfee, Pastor McAfee, and many others will be helping, working collaboratively to spearhead this. So we do have point persons in this matter as well. With that being said, are there any questions that we may have as we prepare? They asked for 5 more minutes, and I hope that we're just not being redundant, but we should be down to about 3 more minutes now. All right. any questions you may have.
Can you repeat the location again?
The location is going to be on Minnehaha and Lake Street. Minnehaha and Lake Street. And again, that is just one location for tonight. And our dear brother, Brother Spike, has already come to tell us that this is not only happening in that location, but in North Minneapolis and in St. Paul as well. And we will find orders and direction from there to identify how do we mobilize and move forward to assist in those areas also. My brother, I see your hand. All right, VJ?
I just wanted Spike to tell us exactly where they're at over north and where they're at in St. Paul. What's going on?
Spike. This one. This is the one you was using, yes. Turn your bottle up. You're wasting.
Well, first of all, over north, it's going to be everywhere. That's the home of the black struggle in Minnesota. So when it goes up, it's going to go everywhere. St. Paul has been on the heels of Minneapolis north side for years with the same problems, and it's going to go. But I think more important than that, our babies are so hurt, so angry, and so traumatized. I stand before you a man who has fought these cases since 1966, and I fought them for 54 years. I won 99% of the lawsuits, and I lost every case against white men with guns. Our children and their children grew up watching this and never seeing justice in any city in the United States of America for African Americans. And when you live in a city where no branch of government will step up and treat you as citizens and human beings, when the FBI stepped in the office of the mayor 2 days ago when I asked for them to be fired immediately while we wait for the process, and I asked for the mayor to come to the room so I could get him to support it, and he came and he supported it. I'm proud of both of them. They made history.
That's right.
No mayor, no chief ever took a position on our behalf in this city. But along with that, I had to let him know you can't oppress a people for more than 400 years. You can't live in a city that's a state of the top 3 worst states towards people of color in the entire country. You can't have the average income for white be 62,000 to 73, and the average for black be 27 and less. You can't feel the poverty. You can't feel the denial of jobs. You can't feel the hunger and the struggle that our people are going through, and then you want to oppress them, beat them, and shoot them. You can't even boil water with a full pot of water without it boiling over. Our children are boiling over. Our babies grow up and know he's not here to serve and protect. They're supposed to feel that and think that. Most black males get nervous when they see a squad car behind their car.
Absolutely.
It could be a conversation or you might not survive. It could be they just take your car. They could be going to handcuff you, mace you, tase you, and they could decide to kill you. That's right. It hasn't mattered that it was a woman, a child, or a man. I was there with the case when they stopped a sister on her way to church with her brother, and they ordered her out of the car, and she got out of the car, and they ordered her to the squad car. So they ordered him, and he stood still, and they beat the hell out of him. But nobody stopped to ask, how was he going to find the car? He's blind. He's blind in Minnesota. This pains me because I've been at it so long. To see that our babies got to risk their life because this country won't treat us as equal or citizens. The biggest argument in the meeting with the mayor and the chief was the FBI came in and told us they're going to do a civil rights investigation. I want to be clear with y'all. I love Martin Luther King, but the one mistake he made, he let Lyndon Baines Johnson tell him we needed civil rights. Civil rights put us back in a category of property. If I destroy this and it belongs to you, you take me to civil court, it's your property. He should have fought for human rights. We still don't have the rights as a people that the American bald eagle has. You can't hurt him, you can't kill him, you can't stop him from where he eats, where he sleeps, where he goes. He got more rights than you as a people. So when you understand what we up against, and I heard this brother talking about clergy, I said to Reverend McAfee and every reverend that was with me yesterday, and I'm going to say it one more time. When I was on KMOJ, I said almost every year, there's a beast walking across this land, and the beast is the devil. And this is going to be a spiritual war. And in a spiritual war, your generals look like this. If you don't have clergy, you have no generals in a spiritual war. You can be mad as you want, you can be angry as you want, but if you don't have the true general for a spiritual war, you will lose. Not trying to put a burden on you, but God first. And if God is in the center, you will win the victory. I said to the people yesterday, if a batter's up to hit 3 strikes and you're out. We went through slavery. We won our way out. We went through the period of the Nadine where they could kill us at will, but we won. We went through Jim Crow, and we won. And we can win this if we understand it's a spiritual warfare, and the generals stand up. The generals, either you believe in Jesus, you believe in God, or what do you believe in? We can say what we want on Sunday in the church, but if you believe in him, what would he have you do for your people now? The lost, the ones that don't know God, that don't have a religion, that don't even know who they are. This is a spiritual war against devilment. This is what they've been preaching and teaching for the last 25 years, making sure that most white folks would become racist. And now it has hit the boil, and it's boiling over all over the land. And as you see the people setting fires from one end of America to the other, you know the oppression is even across the country. I told them this morning when I was speaking to the national news, have you noticed anything in Minneapolis? Every direction, all the businesses are owned by white people. We don't even have 1%. We don't have a social nightclub where our kids can go. We don't have a bowling alley, a movie show. We don't have nothing. So when you understand that, and the other thing I want y'all to say too, because they're saying it all the time, our kids are rioting. Our kids ain't rioting. A riot is something without purpose or direction. It's madness. Our kids are rebelling. You rebel to what you don't like. You rebel to what you know. And when the law at every level won't represent you, then it's going to come out in other ways. So remember, if you go out there with that love and that concern and that passion, understand what our young people have been through every day, just trying to stand on the block, trying to walk through the park, trying to sit at home with their mama. Come at them with love. Come at them with the understanding that you have the true armor. People that know me know when I did the National Peace and Justice Gang Summits across this country, I went to every city. I saved thousands of lives. But did you all see the formula I used? 4 days a week inside a church in every city. The last day, all denomination church for those gangbangers. It worked. Nobody shot nobody in none of them churches, in none of the cities I went to. In thousands. In thousands. I'm not making it up. I know it can happen if you know the formula. When I got to Chicago, every stop I made was 5,000 gang members. When I got to LA, one of the biggest and most important leaders I met was only 14 years old. We need you, and we've been needing you. Now, either you believe in our Savior, you believe in God, you believe in Jesus, you believe in humanity, you believe in decency and fairness, or you do not. But I'm telling you, if Jesus can walk through the city with that cross on his back, stumbling every step of the way, and you spitting and throwing rocks and putting a crown of thorns in his head, and he's bleeding, and he's walking to his death, he ain't showing no fear, and they ain't showing no mercy, but what he did is the reason you here. He believed. I hear you. I'm proud that you're here. And I'll be even prouder if you understand this is a spiritual warfare. You are our generals, and as your people, we are prepared to follow you. We are nothing but warriors.
Thank you, Spike. I really appreciate your input. Thank you very much. Heartfelt heartfelt expressions and words. I think it's very clear that we all should mobilize and work together and to do this. We solicit your prayers and your assistance, my friend. Lindale and Broadway. Well, currently you have two individuals that are pastoring. We have several pastors on the north side of Minneapolis, but right now in that vicinity we have Bishop Howell and we have Pastor Jerry McAfee. And both of those are available for communication. Both of their offices are open, and they have teams and task force that will help mobilize in every area. We have, again, other pastors in North Minneapolis as well, and we can work collaboratively to make this happen. Any other question? It will be controlled. I'm not sure that it would be a complete open mic as of right now. They may create space and time for the community to share some things, but the mission tonight is to try to do our best to diffuse what's happening in that particular area. Thank you. May I have your name, please?
My name is Montreal Donaldson.
Montreal Donaldson. Thank you, Montreal Donaldson, for sharing that. I really appreciate your openness and how you were able to share that. That really touched me, and I really appreciate you stepping up to the plate and sharing that. I want to say this to your point and question. I agree. My wife and I, we have 5 children. And out of our 5 children, 4 of them are young men. And out of 4 of them young men, we have 2 of them that are in their 3 about to be in their 20s. And let me tell you, every single week, we are doing our best to educate them, to give them the microphone and give them a voice. We are teaching our children in our community that we are passing the mantle. We can't raise them without passing the mantle. You have stepped up to the plate. If you're on the scene tonight, we'll make sure your voice is heard. Thank you. Give me the new mic, Al. All right. Mr. Flowers?
No, I'll just say to the young brother, we want everybody to speak, not just now. We in a pandemic in the African American community. We're in a pandemic with violence. We're in a pandemic with disparities. And while we're going through this, we still having problems in our community with shooting at each other. So what I say to you, brother, is lift that part up too. We got to lift all these parts up as we doing this fight, because what Senator Hayden was here a minute ago, and I'm talking about economic justice, education, housing, public safety, mental health, trauma, the things that's going on in our community. But we do need the young people to step up and not just come out because we fighting what Spike just said about our pastors. People talked about our pastors, our clergy, and was saying all these kind of things. But then when the pandemic hit down, we didn't have nowhere to turn to but the churches. I watched it as somebody on the ground. So as I'm watching this, and as I'm watching right now while we sitting here, it's burning over in St. Paul. It's burning over in North Minneapolis now. We done burned up Lake Street. We burnt up Lake Street. I can't go to the store at Target and Cub. I've been fighting this battle for 20 years fighting for social justice, and now I can't go to the store. So they got it to a point. We have asked the governor for put a bill together. We did everything right, putting a bill together. Asked for $20 million to help in our community just on violence. We asked for money on for housing, for public, for housing, for everything. We are doing this. What Senator, if you didn't hear Senator Hayden, what he said, that they can try to fight for it, but we got 4 senators. 2 senators, Senator Hayden and Champion, and then Representative Richardson and Moran, and it's a hard fight for them. And if people don't stand up, you think you don't have nothing to do, you got to start using your emailing, phone calls. Those are more important than us up there fighting every day. People are fighting every day, but we need that youth generation. But right now, we in a crisis all over the state now. We're burning, and the people that's going to be affected at the end will be our community. We the one. I can't go down to Target no more. I can't go to Cub Food. I don't care nothing. I can't go to the store no more. I can't send my kids to the store. Now we got to go all the way on 60th to go to the store. Not about me, but it's about the other people, the disabled people and things like that, that we got to be considerate about as we try to fix this pandemic that we are dealing with COVID. We still dealing with COVID. We still separated in seats. And we still here fighting right now. So what I would say to that young brother is not only speak that way all the time. Speak that way about everything that's coming up. And I'm glad the guys from the Man Up Club, the young brothers was out there with Reverend Al Sharpton. I see y'all back there. I'm glad y'all got there. That's why I stepped back, let y'all get in the front after I got my photo out, because that's what it was. You know, when you just taking a photo op then. But now the groundwork is out here, what we got to do when we leave this church, when we hear Reverend Jesse Jackson speak, listen to what your elders are saying and then try to help. And we want you to move, but I'll say this clear. I'm not following anybody that's going to lead me over a cliff, and that's where we at right now. We are going over the cliff, and people are dying now. So we got to come together, but we got to listen too. We ain't got a lot of runaway kids or kids that don't have housing because the parents put them out. It's because they didn't want to listen to the parents. So you got to take your part. You got to take your part. I'm gonna bring it to you real. You got to take your part. I know I ain't put my daughter out, and she went to prison. The police had their knee on my neck like they had Brother Floyd. They had their knee on my neck, their knee on my back. I survived in 2014, and I was older than him, but I survived. I survived the police brutality. So you can't tell me about any of that. I survived it. So, I say my daughter, I do everything in the community I can. And the worst person I had to deal with was my daughter. And then she ended up in Shakopee. I end up out of $40,000, $50,000 by running to the jail, keep bailing her out, and breaking myself because I wasn't going to let my baby be in jail. And then it finally happened. And she did 2 years. And then the first thing where was she at the other day? She on the front line of the protest. She got it now, but it took her 2 years in Shakopee before she can do it. So I say to the young people, we definitely want to lift you up, but we got to be able to listen. When you say elder, you got to listen to the elders, and the elders have to listen to you. It can't go either way there. It's got to go that way. So that's what I would say. I know we need y'all. I love y'all, and that's what I'm gonna say. That's my little piece. And Reverend Jesse Jackson, that was the hype man for Reverend Jesse Jackson. You know. So here, who I get the mic to? I love you, brother. I love you.
Can I just say one thing real quick before you come on stage, Reverend Jackson? Speak to your point there. The youth, we understand where you're coming from. I say it like that. But just like you said, you're not going to listen to somebody who's going to lead you over a cliff. This is not 1986, 1976. This is 2020. The youth these days follow a whole different regimen. The youth these days opposed to the old days. See, when I grew up on you respect your elders. No matter who that elder is, you show that elder respect. Nowadays, our kids are not taught that because we have veered away from that village that is going to raise that child. Now we got to put it back into place. Like I said, it's up for the youth. When I say youth, I don't mean the teens, the little kids. I mean the youth, the people who are now in their 30s, the young 40s. These are the youth I'm speaking to because we are the people that's going to be stepping up to take that place. And you guys want to see a first step? This is that first step. I'm right here for the youth. I'm right here for our community. I'm going to be there tonight, but I'm going to be there again to speak what that you feel. We feel what you feel. You feel what we feel. We here together. It's just that our words, our messages are conflicting each other. We want that same thing. So now what we have to do as a community is not stand back and listen and let the adults lead. What we need now is form that unification where adults and youth stand side by side and speak this word together, because that's what's going to change this future.
Get my daughter. Get my daughter. I want you to. I get it. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon. Let me first express my thanks to, I want to express my thanks to Senior Vice President Rainbow Push and Bureau Chief in Washington, Reverend Todd Yeary, which Todd? San Todd. And our national spokesman, Jonathan Jackson, my son. And our national field director, Reverend Tavis Grant. We're making several basic. We met this morning with the Attorney General, met with the county prosecutor. Let me meet with you. Put several things in perspective. First of all, the murder of Brother Floyd is why I came. He was murdered. People murdered, they're not fired, they're arrested. People murdered him, still walk the streets with their paycheck and their pensions. That has to change. There must be protests until they are charged. When you protest, you must also set goals and targets and timetables. And you must have intended consequences. They're now on this viral medicine taken down on the pandemic. Take medicines that get the desired consequence. Repeat, take medicine and get the consequence. So take medicine and get the consequence you intend. Now, we sat down in the 60s. We meant to break down segregation barriers. We won that battle. We meant to get the right to vote, won that battle. Emmett Till was killed in 1955, 14 years old. The jury was out for 30 minutes. See why it's so quick? It would have been quicker than that if we had to stop and get us all drinking smoke. We cannot imagine a white person going to jail for killing a nigger. We didn't have the right to vote. And not had it since 1896. Voter registration matters. Who was on the jury? We did 1965, blacks couldn't vote. White women couldn't serve on juries. 18-year-olds couldn't vote by legal, couldn't vote on college campuses. One of those battles. Now here you are there at a different stage of our struggle. Different stage of our struggle. How can I put this? Code blue uniform is a killer code. There's also code 19. Don't jump out the fire on code 4 and jump into code 19. Code 19 will last a long time. If you demonstrate, if you must, but with discipline. What do I mean by that? If you don't have on a mask, you're hugging and congregating, you're going to kill, say the virus. The virus dwells in crowds and congestion. We want to have a spike in corona deaths. We didn't do the right thing right. So I think the protest is legitimate. Calling a murder is legitimate. But my concern now is that in our anger, we're going to jump out the frying pan to the fire. Don't leave code 4 and jump into code 19. When they just over 100,000 yesterday. Since the code 19 is a killer. To fight code 19, one, we must distance ourselves. Distance ourselves. Distance ourselves. Hygiene, and don't congregate. So that churches don't meet on Sunday. Why? In biblical times, there was a pandemic called the flood. The flood devoured the earth. Noah kept saying, the flood coming. Young people say, Noah, you're old guy. You've been talking that for a long time. Noah got drunk. He got so upset. I'm young. I can swim. I got a manage you. Okay. You can swim, but you can't 40 days and nights without stopping. In the end, those who could swim on the outside drowned. Those who could not swim on the inside survived. They stayed in the ark until the pandemic passed over. Repeat, say they stayed in the ark until the pandemic passed over. So this thing about it's hot, I have to be outside. We're fighting germ warfare, you will die. We can't bluster our way, or threaten our way through this disease. The American military is ducking like the rest of us. The American military can do nothing about this. Our guns have no value in this war. Our bombs have no value in this war. Maybe we should be the soldiers in the plowshares. Spears and pruning hooks. Ministers don't hold church on Sunday until we get advice from the doctors. Don't run into a situation where have your membership and you. Whereas 3 ministers that we work with us had services. All 3 ministers died and their congregations died with them. Last time, the reason I wanted to bring up Jonathan and Reverend Yeri, because I want to have the Q&A for a minute. I respect you so much. We organized about several thousand ministers to get access to their stimulus, and we were successful, absolutely. We also to teach the churches a discipline. Third thing we did was we organized the doctors to form a medical manifesto. Why we down so fast? Untreated illnesses. No health insurance. Goes too late. Stage 4. So some of us have a food desert. Some have an appetite desert. You have best whole foods in your community. If you run past it getting fried chicken, don't say we should not come to church. Repeat, say we should not come to church. A heart for love and grace, stomach for the grease, pills, and go to sleep. That's where to die early. I'm just saying that fight this war. Don't self-destruct. Fight this war. What is your agenda? We're going to fight until the murders are considered murders. You have to have an end game. The mayor's speaking out and all that. We're talking to the governor. They must call murder a murder. There's no reason to compromise on that. Say murder is murder. When you put your foot down on somebody's neck until they can breathe no longer, you murdered them. I want to say this in closing. Don't let this fight break your spirit. July 16, 1960, I went to jail trying to use a public library for 60 years this coming July. Fighting the dignity on that ground. I couldn't use the library. We fought with jail. Really, a fight for the right to use restaurants, went to jail. Right to vote, went to jail. Free bandages. We spent our share of time in jail because nothing was more important to us than fight for freedom. Please hear my people, call by my name, humble themselves, and pray, seek my face, and turn from the wicked ways. They'll hear from heaven. I'll forgive their sins, heal their land. That phone is real. I heard young people ask the questions. I want to go by the site and I want to go by the site and they'll read. I want to talk to some young people first. Talk to me. Yes, sir. Come a little closer, baby. Orange. Sits high. You see this right here? There's a black student.
How you doing? My name is Claude Croxton. I'm from the Man Up Club, and I'm 24. And I was actually born and raised, well, not raised, but I was born here in Minnesota. And I was raised in Chicago, in Cabrini Green. And I know exactly what my people is going through. Speaking to my young people, I know exactly what they're going through because I had to go through it every day. Every day. Not just things getting burned, but people being shot. People being killed by police. Kids being killed. Women, old ladies, all of that. But I spent 8 months in jail and it changed me. Me becoming a part of the Man Up Club, it changed me. And that's what made me want to get on this side and become a mentor for my young people and bring them back, because half of these people I know, and I want to bring them back because I don't want the National Guard to go out there and hurt them, because that would make me even more angrier. I'm angry, I'm hurt, but I can't express it how they're expressing it. I got to do something positive. I got to make sure that my people make it home safe to their kids. I know this. I'm like I can't even talk no more because.
Let me say the burning is taking place in the black community.
Yes.
Is the burning taking place in the black community? Is the burning taking place in the black community? That's a pattern. It was a circle that you burn where you live. You're not going to burn the other side of town. Be clear on that. We're conditioned to self-destruct. My appeal to you is that you're fighting two killers. The 4 policemen which can be put on trial, and the corona you can't put on trial. And so you cannot go out in the public. This is my son. We wouldn't walk around hugging and going on because it's dangerous. See, cold blue is a killer. Police. COVID-19 is a killer. Corona. You have a double problem here. When I looked at the demonstration on TV last night, I was excited about the demonstration, but if you ignore those protocols, you have a crash next week in the hospital. Please hear that. Next.
Thank you, Reverend Jesse Jackson, for coming. My name is Jeanette Rupert. I'm also Reverend Jeanette Rupert, licensed minister, as well as I'm a nurse working on the front lines.
I can't hear you. Sorry.
My name is Jeanette Rupert, Reverend Jeanette Rupert. I live in the Black community. I grew up on 38th Street, blocks from where this thing happened. My parents still live there. I am also a frontline nurse working in this COVID pandemic. So I understand the conflict. I told one of my colleagues I want to protest, I want to stand up, because this happened in my community, my neighborhood. And yet I'm also a nurse, and so I'm trying to be careful, being a Black RN who grew up on 38th Street as well. So I love what you have said, to try and tell and educate the Black community that it's so important that we be safe, we be careful in doing what we're doing, because people like me, I can't stay at home. There are brothers and sisters working on the front lines, saving lives. So we have to be safe. I can't have another spike because we're not doing this, consciously. We're not doing this professionally the way that it should be done. There's a right way to do it, and there's an irrational way of doing things. So I appreciate you coming here and speaking to that.
Let me on your nurse part. One of my friends, a minister, a good guy, 12 of them had dinner after church. He and 3 of them died, and 5 of them infected. And then there was the police. There's another guy in Albany, Georgia, likewise. 3 of them died. The corona will kill you. Say corona?
Corona?
Kills.
Kills.
I cannot jump.
I cannot jump.
Frying pan.
Frying pan.
To the fire.
To the fire.
Fighting blue.
Fighting blue.
Is right.
That's right.
I cannot give up the discipline.
Cannot give up the
to fight 19. It's a small appeal. Next. Yes.
Hey, Jesse, I was the assignment to be your bodyguard in 2000 when you came here, and I didn't realize you had so much energy, man. You kept me up till 3 in the morning when I got you to your private plane, and I learned a lot, so thank you for that. I wanted to ask you, what's the best way to deal with these folks that are bringing this negative energy? They're bringing all this energy that are, as African Americans, we're trying to calm the community, but they're coming from other parts of the cities and bringing this negative energy. What's the best way for us to deal with this?
Say quietness. Repeat, say quietness, absence of noise, peace, presence of justice. No justice, no peace. And so when police execute a man in public, they want some right action and deserve it. That's what I'm saying. Act in a way that it reaches your goal. I think that is there a gap in Minnesota between black and white education? Is there a gap, an education gap? The healthcare gap? Wage gap? Wealth gap? So your politics must fight to close those gaps. Who make sense to you? Don't get so mad that you don't register and vote. You give right. Only the registered voter can serve on juries. Why'd you give up power to serve on a jury? One person could have hung the jury to kill Emmett Till. One. No blacks on the board. Since Meg was killed, one black could have hung. Say one black, hang the jury, without voter registration, you hung by the jury. I mean, so don't run past voter registration. Don't run past census count and voter turnout. We can change the course of America in November. Say within 159 days, we have the power. Repeat, within 159 days, we have the power to change the course of our country. So we got the corona, COVID-19, cold floor, and you can't just do one thing. You got to see. Even as I fight against blue codes and against coronavirus, all census count, registration, and make my vote count November the 4th. So we're too busy to eliminate each other. Don't you say Moses was 80, you started preaching. Mandela was 70, came out of jail. Measure your allies by who makes sense to you. Yes, sir.
Hi, Reverend Jesse Jackson. My name is Brandon. I've been a part of the Minneapolis Mad Dads back in the day. That's my uncle right there. He's also my mentor. He's been my mentor ever since I came back up here. When I was in the middle school going into high school, I had a dean that was basically, you know, my actions and everything. She had told me that I wasn't going to graduate, you know, everything, just because of my actions. And when I had viewed that, you know, I had told my grandma, because I had went home, I was very hurt. My grandma told me, being a black man in America, you already have your 3 strikes. Because one, if you have positivity and you don't have no criminal record, you already have your 3 strikes because you already looked as an endangered species in America. But my question is, with all of the stuff that's been going on with the rioting and the vandalism on our properties and our community, what is the correlation between Minneapolis versus Ferguson, and what can we change? And also, I have a question is, I'm sick of it. I'm sick of this. Because being in this state, being in Chicago, seeing my friends get shot in cold blood in front of me, and then just for an innocent police officer just to put his neck on a person, and we telling him he can't breathe. He's crying for his mom. My mom even texted me last night. He's crying for his mom. He's saying all of this. That could have been you, son. So my question is, I'm sick of it.
That's why you should protest until they're charged with murder. But don't do it in a way that hurts you. See if I protest against the code blue and ignore code 19, I will die from germ. So I'm saying protest with discipline. I'm gonna have to go. I had to, one meeting with the mayor, and I had to go and lay a wreath at the site, the killing. But I want you to meet 2 people quickly. Jonathan Jackson, my son, who was our national spokesman. Reverend Carl Yeary, come quick. We had to go. Say something, Johnny.
Thank you very much. A pleasure to be back in the great state of Minnesota. And please forgive me for not observing the proper protocol. I left my mask in one of the cars. And I remember I have very fond memories coming up to Minnesota to see Hubert Horatio Humphrey on his deathbed and the work of the great Fritz Mondale and Wellingston and Al Franken. I have so many pleasant memories, and Reverend McAfee and so forth. But we also are coming to Minnesota on this beautiful day where you have Mall of the Americas, where Prince has excited the world and made it a purple place and a better place. But unfortunately, we're here at the opposite end of the Mississippi River, where the Mississippi River begins. And Jim Crow and racism is up in the soil of Minnesota, and that's what brings us here today. George Floyd has a right to live. George Floyd should have been able to contact his 2 daughters today. George Floyd should have been able to reach out to his brothers and his sisters. George Floyd had the right to have the protection by the law. When the law officers gave sanctuary to one of their own to suffocate, strangle a man, that is wrong. George Floyd came to Minnesota seeking a greater opportunity than what he had in Houston. And there's plenty of opportunities in the great state of Minnesota. So we're not going to leave, and we're going to continue to come back until justice is served. Reverend Martin Luther King said, justice delayed is justice denied. We don't want to hear all the fancy word that elected officials and some of the legal people are going to use on the time and delay and the investigation. Nothing new is going to be discovered, but a bunch of lawyers are going to start talking over and around the people while this man rots in the grave. It is a crying shame that they're waiting on a toxicology report for George Floyd. Now he's being tried while he's in the grave. The family can't even grieve in peace. The officer has not received a toxicology report. The officer was fired for murder. When a man is on the ground for 9 minutes with your knee on his neck and he cannot breathe, when people have their cameras on, when people are pleading for safety and help, and the officers are so callous and cold and calculate, they turn their back on them. That's why we're here today. When an officer has a repeated history of abuse like Chauvin, this wasn't his first time. Those other officers were repeat offenders. We need good, honest people on the law enforcement community to stand with the community, to stand with the young people. We all are here to stand for justice. This is not anti-police. This is pro-justice. This is pro-love. We would like to see this man's family be able to bury their child, their brother, their father, and move on. But to hold his body out for toxicology, to hold his body out of the ground because now you say we have to wait on more circumstantial evidence. Now we have to quote codes. Now we have to talk about police procedure on how you commandeer and you give cover for a criminal. This wasn't his first time. And unfortunately, unless we step forward, it won't be his last time. So what are we asking for you to do today? Join us. We need some grandparents to join this movement. To walk with your children out to the demonstration sites. You might have missed plenty of other ones. Join this one if you're still alive. We need some parents to come out to these sites with their children. Show them how we can march in dignity and have our respect. This isn't about TVs and toys coming out of Target. They can keep all that stuff. This is about the blood of the innocent. Now I am done. I have overstayed my time. We love you. We thank you. Here, Dad.
I want the young people to come down to the altar quick. Man up, come down. The young people come down. Demonstrators come to the altar. Demonstrators come to the altar.
Young activists and ministers, please come to the altar. We're going to have a prayer and then a group picture. If you don't mind, you'll turn around. Bishop Grant, you want to lead us in prayer? We'll have Reverend McAfee close us out. Reverend?
Let us all stand.
Before you praise, we're going by the site quickly. Somebody got to go with us, okay? And we have a couple other stops, so let's hook up. Who's the contact person for Man Up? Who's the contact person? Let's hook up, okay? This is your contact person right here, okay?
Bishop Grant.
Let us pray. Our Father and our God, we ask now for your grace and your mercy. We pray for this city and the citizens of this city. Pray for those who are in positions of influence, that you would grant them wisdom and understanding. We lift up the Floyd family, his name and his children, his brothers and his sisters, his parents. We lift them up to you now, and we prefer them ahead of us. Their pain and their suffering might be deep, but your love is eternal. So we ask now, God, that you would wrap your arms around them, dry their weeping eyes and mend their broken hearts, and cause us to turn our pain into power. We be united, white and black, Jew and Gentile, regardless of our ethnicity, our gender, or our race. We are your human race. And use this city and this moment to shine a light across the world that justice is possible, that freedom and liberation is possible. We ask now, God, that you would multiply
the power of love and unity, and the healing that will make us a better people and this a better nation. In your name we pray. Amen.
Man up. Y'all turn around. Where's my feet? Wait. Turn around, kids.
Come on.
Just
Come
take a
on.
picture.
Somebody just want to turn around.
Just turn around.
I'm going to ask that you leave. Please, let's go one section at a time, starting over here, and then the next section, that we can make sure that we don't crowd the exits as we leave. Well, Bill, if you direct them out over here first. Please don't just crowd the exit. The center aisle, those who are ready to leave now, you can go from the center aisle.